Anime is cool. Comic books are cool. Normal books are cool. Television shows are cool. Characters within all these mediums are cool. And if the 11th Doctor has taught me anything, it's that fezzes are cool. So a popular pastime of people is comparing and contrasting how well one character might face off against another. Something old school like Sherlock Holmes versus Columbo to the biggest debate of the modern era, Son Goku versus Clark Kent Superman. This comparison is known in modern media as power scaling. Which character's stronger, smarter, faster, has the highest level of riz, etc. The problem with this is how the common populace tend to argue over these when power scaling characters. Almost everyone tends to take the character out of the equation. Let's take a closer look at the Goku versus Superman debate. Now we have to use these characters from points in their timelines, but which one? Modern Superman, while still one of the most powerful comic book heroes, isn't nearly as strong as his Golden Age counterpart. There's also multiple multiverses and timelines to pull from, and not just a singular one. Do we use Injustice Superman, who would kill without even a second thought for revenge, or if that person just got in his way too much? Or do we use the ideal version of Superman from the main timeline of the comics, that believes in justice and can do no wrong? Honestly, one we choose doesn't matter. Goku is a lot easier to choose his best form. We just pluck him from the end of the current Super manga, where he's mastered Ultra Instinct and can apparently make a giant key version of himself. But this also doesn't matter. While it's possible for Goku to beat Superman, he never will. The only scenario where the fight would even drag on all that long is if we use Ideal Superman, and he enjoys the fight as much as Goku does. Then Goku might be able to scrape out a win. The reason for this is that Goku never starts a fight all out. He starts on what has been dubbed his base form, fighting his opponents weaker to learn how they fight and how strong they are. But even once he knows, he doesn't jump to full power. He will test each of his forms against his foe just to see how they stack up. And in a friendly competition, Goku might reach a mastered Ultra Instinct form and be able to beat Superman. Superman's not invincible. He can be hurt and he can be worn down. And if it comes to a state where Superman can no longer hit Goku, it would become a battle of endurance, and with how draining Goku's forms are on him, he still might not even win. That's assuming it even gets to that point. While Toriataro seems to have forgotten, most of the fandom has not. When Goku achieves his first god form and clashes with Beerus, their clashing fists send shockwaves across the universe, threatening to tear it apart. And while the characters have gotten hundreds of times stronger since then, according to how transformation multipliers work, this has not happened since. Seeing this, even an ideal Superman would seek to end the fight before much damage was caused, either by defeating Goku quickly, which he has the speed and power set to do, or calling off the fight if he wanted to keep his good boy reputation. Any darker version of Superman would have the speed and skill set to kill Goku before he even decided to go full power. Even if you wanted to be generous and have Goku know what various versions of Kryptonite do to Superman, Goku would never use them. He likes fighting strong opponents at their highest potential way too much. I mean, even Alfred has planted Superman in the dirt before with Kryptonite. But there's another major issue in power scaling these characters. They don't exist in the same universe. Cross-scaling versus leads to many issues and debates, mainly on the various magic systems. Could Goku's ki be enough to stop Superman's eye lasers? It stops vastly bigger beams in its own verse. Well, herein lies the problems. The beams in Dragon Ball are also made of ki, a lot like the shields that the fighters use around their bodies. And even then, if the beam hits directly, it always still seems to do damage. Superman's beam is an actual plasma ray, not spiritual energy. So when debating on the characters, you'd have to debate if it would work or not. Let's take a look at Dragon Ball's spiritual successors in the anime world, the big three. All three of them have a spiritual power that they use in their magic system. Bleach has spirit suppressor and Ryatsu, Naruto has chakra, and One Piece has haki. All three of these are part of one's inner spiritual energy, so they should all work on each other, right? Well, it's hard to say. They all work very differently. Chakra is a limited pool of energy that needs to be recharged by resting or stealing it from other people. It can affect the elemental natures of the world and make various skills known as ninjutsu. Haki, as far as we've seen in One Piece so far, doesn't have a limit. Unlike chakra, it's a manifestation of one's willpower, being able to see into the future, protect oneself, knock out those of lesser wills, and even use attacks that bypass most physical defenses. Spiritual pressure is, well, I don't know if Bleach ever really breaks down what spiritual pressure is exactly. It's been a year or two since I sat down and read through Bleach, so feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. Those with great enough spiritual pressure have to constantly suppress it or destroy whatever plane of existence they're fighting on. So that's a thing. If they work in tandem, to use modern terminology, Naruto stomps Luffy. If chakra doesn't work against armament haki, Naruto's never touching Luffy. At least, not in a way that'll hurt him. And if chakra and hockey don't stop spiritual pressure, neither of them are doing anything against Ichigo. Well, that's more so the villains of Bleach. If it's Ichigo specifically, he'd be nice enough to hold back his spiritual pressure, and not shred the worlds they live on with his power. Another good example of this would be Natsu from Fairy Tail and Yamamoto, again from Bleach. Another statement that Kubo seems to have forgotten, that the flames Yamamoto uses aren't actual flames, but his spiritual pressure is so vast it merely takes the appearance of flames. Only for every fight Yamamoto is involved in to have his spiritual pressure act like normal flames. Could Natsu eat them and then nullify one of Yamato's greatest strengths? Probably. But then Yamato just beats him with his sword skills after that. But that whole section before this is taking the character out of the equation. Most of these situations, the characters wouldn't ever fight to begin with. Or if they did, it'd be a friendly spar that would never really show each other their full power, because if any of these characters at full power, would devastate those around them and cause too much collateral damage. If you want to take the character out, Superman never beats Goku. Just slap on Ultra Instinct so he can never be touched, and give him brass knuckles tipped with kryptonite. No matter Superman's feats at that point, he isn't winning. Then most internet fanatics would argue, well, Goku would never do that, so Superman wins. You're right. He wouldn't, but he also would never push Superman's to the limits of his power if they fought at all. The death battle of this did it wonders. If they fought on Earth, they would most likely have been destroyed from their fight. And while Goku is a fight sexual maniac, even he tries not to put other lives in danger while he's fighting. So which is it? Do you want to remove the character and just have two people bloodlust fight it out? Do you want them to fight while retaining their mind or come up with a strategy, but rob them of their personality? Or do you want to watch two characters fight and see which one of them wins? Because the answer of who would win is different for each of those questions. Let's try a popular character that a lot of people like to power scale in his own verse. One of my personal favorite characters in fiction, Percy Jackson. You'll never hear me deny that Percy is one of the strongest demigods in the world that Uncle Rick has put together over the last score or so. For those of you uneducated, which I suspect is most of you whining in the comment section, a score is 20 years. However, going through the books again, to make a different video on Percy specifically, after getting on to a TikTok debate, which is slowly but surely becoming Reddit 2.0, is that Percy kinda sucks. A lot of people seem to ignore the fact that Percy has lost almost every single 1v1 fight he's ever been in. He gets the occasional monster kill, sure, but in a fight with his peers, it almost always ends in a draw or a loss. Not to mention Percy rarely gets the kills in team fights, but it's usually the punching bag till someone else gets it. Points to endurance, I guess. But the main thing I want to focus on here, and the main argument people get caught on, is an author statement by Rick, when he was asked if Percy could bloodbend after he made the goddess of misery choke on her own tears, to which Uncle Rick unfortunately said yes. So now everyone wants to point out that Percy could just speed blitz and bloodbend the entire verse, not taking into consideration that most people in the verse don't even have traditional blood. The gods and the titans have golden ichor. I'm not sure what the primordial forces have, but I don't think it's blood. They also don't take into consideration that this is a tired and pissed off, near bloodlusted Percy after traveling against Tartarus for over a week, constantly fighting and exhausted, and fully done with the goddess's bullshit. Not something he would ever pull out in a normal fight, especially not the people it would actually work on. But none of this goes to say that Percy's weak by any means. It's just something he would never do. All of this really just boils down to is that power scaling is not black and white. In the wise words of Stan Lee, the person who would win the fight is the person who's scripting the fight wants to win. And that's the mentality of most people on the internet, but in a bad way. They absolutely lose their shit when this is quoted at them. Their favorite character wins without any debate because in their head it's their favorite character and they are the strongest, sticking to strength and speed feats like they are the holy gospel and the definitive reason why they would win. Here's the thing though, weaker characters in fiction beat stronger characters all the time. If they never did, we wouldn't have underdog stories, or we wouldn't have anime's favorite trope, the power of friendship, because it would never be needed. And whether it's by exploiting a weakness or through strategy, weaker characters win a lot. Hence why Prep Time Batman is a meme in the power scaling community. Does Batman get info on his enemy and time to prep for the fight? Then he wins almost everything, despite being relatively low in the physical strength as a normal human being. Same way Krillin almost beats Goku in the lead up to the Tournament of Power, or how Sorbet almost kills Goku in the Resurrection F arc. Characters don't have to be strong to take out stronger characters. If they did, characters like the Hulk or Doomsday would never lose. Characters like Lex Luthor, Batman, or Iron Man would never be a threat to begin with. Give Tony Stark all his gadgets and gizmos and throw him into a raw, bloodlusted fight to the death with the Hulk, he would never win. Give him back his mind, and he'll almost never lose. Let him keep his personality, and he's more likely to lose, but he'd do the fight in style. Or why the King of Chaos himself, Lord Nexenor, will never lose to his Twitter haters because he's smarter than 99% of them, and knows not to fall for their bullshit. Saying that only because of the off chance you find this video, you might get a kick out of it. Power scaling is fine. A healthy debate is fine. There are arguments for any character in fiction to beat up your favorite character. Are they dumb and probably never come up? Yes, but they are there. This is why I love channels like Six and Suikage, who are big in the anime character debate side of the spectrum, who say, sure, a character could do this possibly, but I'm not sure they would do this in this situation. And they aren't afraid to admit if they're unsure whether or not this is something that would work against a different power set. The way the internet currently handles power scaling is a problem, one that a tiny channel like mine will never change. I merely drop the snowflake on the ground. It'll be up to others to start the snowball. I can't wait to see the chaos in the comment section of this video. The sad part is, 90% of the people who are causing the chaos will only make it to the end of the video to know I'm looking forward to it. But with that being said, I hope to catch you guys in the next video. Feel free to leave your complaints or agreements down in the comment section down below. And I hope to see you guys in the next video, which will probably be how strong is Percy Jackson, where we'll break down that argument a little bit more. So yeah, we'll see you guys then. Take care.